Well, hey, my friend, welcome to another edition of the Thriving Christian Artist Podcast. I'm Matt Tommy, and I'm super excited to have a fellow Texan with me, Maria Morris, who is not only an incredible artist, but also teacher and just all around great person. Maria, welcome to the podcast today. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Isn't it fun that we can both say now fellow Texans? It's like,
I know, whatever, I guess. Y'all.
I love it. I love it. We have been in Asheville for North Carolina for 13 years, just made the move out here this month. How long have you been in Texas now?
6 months.
Yeah. So you're just right ahead of us. So roll back the tape for everybody that's kind of getting to know you. Who are you? What are you doing right now? And then we'll kind of get into some of your backstory.
All right. Well, I am a brand new empty nester. And so I'm full-time in my art. And what I do is I teach online only. So all my classes are video classes, and they're on Skillshare and my mentoring course. So my own membership course. And I grow my Etsy shop where I sell prints of my art.
I love it. I love it. You know, we're talking today on this episode, guys, as you're watching this or listening to this, about how you build your business, about cash flow, about how that sort of thing develops. And Maria, I'm interested for you as you're talking out. You're really forthright about saying, "Hey, I teach, but I'm doing it online." So roll back the tape a little bit. Have you been teaching for a long time? Did you do that in person first? And what was it about the online space that made that, desirable for you?
Well, I have the gift of teaching. So even in art school, my teachers would comment about how I would circle the room and help the students. Like nobody asked me to do that. Anyway, so I would teach a little bit. I taught at a university recently, or I would teach just different paint parties and stuff. But I knew that online is where it was at. I mean, my husband is in the church IT. He's a church IT leader. And so he's all about getting things online. And obviously with COVID, it just made a whole lot more sense. So I started about 3 years ago to make videos. And I tried to do a course on my website, but I, failed at it. And I just couldn't stop trying. So I just kept going and going at it. Yeah.
Now, what was, I love to kind of deconstruct failures because a lot of times they inform the next thing that we're going to do. So what was it about that first time that you did it online that it was a bust? I mean, what did you learn from that?
Well, I didn't really have a following or know how to grow a following. And so didn't know how to really get the word out there that it was on my website.
Yeah.
So that was probably the big thing. And that was also before I learned about your course.
Okay. Yeah. So I think so many of us try things and we don't know what we don't know. And you're just out there kind of doing the best you can. And then you hear somebody, like you're saying, like the mentoring program or whatever, like, oh, they figured this out. They know how to show me how to actually do this. And so it becomes a whole lot easier. So I'm interested though, from a lifestyle perspective. I've taught, from, in person in my studio for years. I mean, but I could only have, 10 or 12 students at a time. So obviously that limits your impact, limits your cash flow, that sort of thing. And that was good for a lot of years. But I was just telling somebody the other day, they're like, are you going to teach your basket, classes again in person? And I'm like, I just did one the other day. It was a 197 course. And instead of 10 students, I had 219 that signed up for that course. You're like, it's kind of a no-brainer, from a lifestyle perspective, from an impact perspective, from an energy, perspective. And so what about that sort of, conversation impacted your desire to teach online? I mean, was that a part of that?
Yeah. So I was talking with somebody this morning who has like 6 in real life classes. And she just spends so much time tracing, or she does paint parties too. So she has to trace on the canvas, and she'll do all this prep and all these supplies and all this time. And then she'll teach children and she'll run around, and she's just like,
it's a lot,
the money is, so I can't let it go because teaching, art is. And so I was just trying to tell her that I did that too. I couldn't make a profit because apparently I didn't know how to buy cheap supplies. And so when I started transitioning from just offering my video courses on my website to offering them onto Skillshare is when things leveled up, because Skillshare kept trying to kick me off their platform. They were like, your audio is terrible on this. We're taking the whole class down. And then
bless your heart, right?
Yeah. And I'd be like, oh, and then your syntax was wrong on this title, and we're taking your whole class down. I was just like, oh, and they were like, you have 4 warnings, your 5th warning, and you're out for good. And I was just like, please, I felt like when I was a senior in college, and I was talking about Old Testament teacher, please, I need to graduate, bring that D- to a D.
Exactly.
So it caused me to raise my video quality to get up to Skillshare's, and then having all these people, like they brought the people that I couldn't bring to my website alone. So they brought all these followers. And then it was like, what? Real people are watching this for real? And then it was like, what? I'm making money? So, and it's royalties for minutes watched. And so even if I don't make a video a certain month, I still make the money. So it's kind of passive. And yeah, so that kind of leveled me up a bit.
That's huge.
And yeah.
That's huge. I know when you came into the mentoring program, one of the things, we had a great conversation, actually did what we call a case study inside the mentoring program, and kind of tried to deconstruct some of the things that were going on in your business. And I know that you were following a lot of the things that I teach about multiple streams of income and trying to get things going. You were selling your art, your original pieces, you were selling prints, you were doing some teaching on Skillshare and that sort of thing, but still we're just kind of like needing that next thing. And I remember we talked about membership, and that's something that really helped me up level my game years ago before we, even knew about membership online. I started that, and it was a big game changer. And so you started implementing this as well in your business, and talk about that, because again, regular cash flow in your business is the thing, right? That's going to allow you to be able to spend more time, energy, focus on doing the thing that God's called you to do. And again, an online solution really has been a big game changer for you.
Yeah, so that's been the whole struggle with my whole self-sabotage pendulum, is the irregular cash flow, where I would sell art and then I would get so excited that I'd, go out and buy stuff and upgrade, and then I wouldn't have any money, and then I wouldn't have any sales, and then I would have to, and then I freak out and get on care.com and cook vegan for somebody. I don't it's like all the things I did because I would just like react to the money, and the money was just like bipolar, and it would make me bipolar. It was just like, so I needed that regulated cash flow for like my sanity. And Skillshare kind of gave me that, but I couldn't raise it. It was like there was,
you're hitting the ceiling or whatever.
Yeah, unless I just like double the amount of videos that were in there, which is hard, and I was doing. But anyway, so when I told my husband I'm Matt's basket case study, because I was such a basket case, and
which we love baskets, by the way. Come on, this is great. Right?
Matt loves baskets, so
that's right.
And I was like, you told me that on a Zoom, you can do this. You can do a membership site, because my self-sabotage was, no, I tried that. I'll never do it again. I would have an art fair and all the art would fall over and I would get heat stroke, and I'd say, never doing art fairs again. It would rain on my watercolors. Never doing art fairs, And so what I learned from you was, no, just because you did it once and it didn't work, do it again.
Yeah.
So it's that grit and that not give up. But I'm telling you, even deeper than that, like when I started the mentoring course, I was in like 2 months and COVID happened, and then nothing sold, and I got freaked out and I canceled. And that was my self-sabotage. It was like, fear of lack. And
I'm jumping off. I'm out. Right.
I'm out, but then I felt the difference, and I had only been in your course for a couple of months. And so I went back in And then you would talk, and I mean, I watched all the videos because with both my accounts together, I've watched them all. I tell you, the number one thing that I got from you was faith, because after the mission field, I had PTSD. I was trying to raise my kids. I had been abandoned. It was like fear. So for basically when my kids were little, I just lived in fear and reacting too much with my art, giving up and pivoting. And so then when I would hear your videos, it would just be like, there's a new layer of faith that all this doubt and self-sabotage is going to take over. So I'd do little tiny steps. Like I'd say, I would just copy you. I would just say to myself, Jesus, thank you that I'm healthy, wealthy, joyful, and wise. And I was in debt. We were in debt, and that was only like when COVID started.
Yeah.
Since then, we've sold our house. We have money in investing, like zero debt. I have regulated cash flow. So back to the topic, regulated cash flow with my membership course, with my Skillshare is now growing more. I stuck the stuff on Udemy. I'm like the same stuff that's on those.
Why not?
Now.
Right.
And because it's all like the synergy thing we teach, like, because I had to teach a little bit in my mentoring course on selling, like photographing your own art and selling it on Etsy. I was like, my Etsy is a bad example. I gotta do so. So I studied as a part of the videos. If you make these tweaks, your numbers will go up.
Yeah.
I didn't expect my numbers to go up that much. I was making like 300 a month on Etsy. Now I'm making like 1,000 a month on Etsy.
Come on.
Star seller. And I was really just trying to teach other people how to do it.
I love it. But you got to learn it to teach it, right? So,
I was the one who learned. Yeah.
It's so good. So now, talk about the speed at which this has happened for you. And again, everybody's story is different. Some faster, some slower. Numbers are different. Venues are different. Platforms are different. All that. We know this. But you're somebody that took the bull by the horns, the proverbial, you got into this, you developed some grit, you committed it to the Lord. And this is not something that's taken you, it's 10 years I've been working on this. I mean, these changes for you in the financial realm, but also in the just development realm have happened pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it's just been like, when I look back, we keep saying that to each other. My husband, I'm just like, can you believe it was only a year ago? We were in Kansas City. We had that house that we didn't know what to do with. We had all that debt. You were at that dead end job.
Man.
You remember that? And our kids were just these crazy little teenagers.
Yeah. And
now they're responsible adults. My son has this awesome IT job. And what, like, I'm in Texas and I have regulated cash flow. It's like the business is just, and especially the mentoring course, is taking on a life of its own. They're all getting to know each other. I'm helping people every single day. And I just wake up, I'm like, what is my business telling me to do? Like, I don't have to force it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so good. I mean, that's, you're living the life that I started seeing the same thing in my life. And it's like, what changed? Like, what is changed? Like, did God get in a good mood? And it's like, no, when you learn the principles, you learn how the kingdom works, you learn how to engage your faith, but also do the practical things that you need to do. This is possible for anybody. And I just love that the very practical thing that so many artists are freaked out about of cash flow and the business side of things, it does not have to be a scary thing. It can be as normal and as easy as for you painting, for me making a basket, for whatever, if you will learn the principles that you need to. So, Maria, what would you say to somebody that's out there and they're a year behind you? They're a year and a half behind you. They're at that house in Kansas City. They're struggling. They keep trying things and jumping off the boat and going through that self-sabotage. What would you say to them to encourage them in their journey today?
Well, two things, if I can remember before I start the other one.
Yeah.
But one would be to invite the Lord, because it's holistic. It's not something that if my business works, but the rest of my life is a mess, it doesn't matter if my business is working, because since we were at a church that was not healthy. And so it was hard for my husband and I to find a church. Part of this whole blessing, part of this whole faith journey in the past year, it comes with not just my art, it comes with my church, which has nothing to do with my art. I'll never do art at the church, whatever. But somehow a month ago, the Lord just plopped the new campus of, it's like Robert Morris's church in right across the street. And both my husband and I love it, which he's more conservative than me. So it's hard to find a church that we both like.
Yeah.
And I'm learning so many things. I'm learning from him that just the whole, I've seen these verses before, but that if you're faithful with the unrighteous mammon, like just money that doesn't really have, it's not God, whatever, it's just money. If you're faithful with these little things, then God will entrust you with things that really matter. Like kids turning to the Lord, and, inspiring artists, and living in my calling right now. I'm, using my gifts of exhortation and prophecy more than I have since being on the mission field 15, 20 years ago.
Wow.
Now in my business. So, and it's a faith thing, and it's just a mustard seed of faith, like me just starting out on my walks going, thank you, Jesus, I'm healthy, wealthy, joy. Like I wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's just faith. And then the other thing would be that you don't have to do it all. A part of the self-sabotage is your FOMO, where you're just like, I can't miss out on that art fair. I got to
make it happen,
right? For this contest, and I got to do all the things because they're doing all the things. I got to do all the things. Well, not all the things were a good fit for me. And even though you shouldn't just get when something doesn't work out, sometimes you get enough hints where you're like, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So the fact that I am only doing Etsy, my online membership course, and Skillshare means that I can go further faster and make more, because I'm just focused on those three things. And I paint, paint plenty because that feeds my Etsy shop.
Yeah.
And I have a gallery trying to do stuff and everything, but I'm not going to do art fairs. I'm not going to do in real life parties. Like, I'm not going to do licensing anymore. Like, it's so nice to be able to narrow things down.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And I love that you are, we talk about this all the time in the mentoring program, but just being intentional about creating the life and the business that you believe that God has for you in the season of life that you're in. And it's a beautiful thing. And you're walking it out, living it out. And it's an inspiration to so many. And even to me, I mean, I love hearing these stories of people's lives being transformed, because I remember when this started happening for me years ago, you just start thinking, is this too good to be true? Like, can this last? And it did. It is. It does. And it's a new normal that's in the kingdom of God. So, Maria, listen. Go ahead.
I would hear testimonies from your group members, and instead of being like, yeah, sure, whatever, that's just advertising, I would be like, you know what? I believe that happened for me too.
Come on. That's right. I love that. Well, Maria, I know people are going to want to connect with you, see your incredible work. Those that are watching on YouTube can see some of your work right now on the screen. All you podcast listeners, come on over to YouTube and see some of Maria's incredible work. But what's your website? Where can folks connect with you the easiest, online and on social? And we'll be sure to put those in the description so everybody can click right on over and connect with you.
Great. I'm on mariamorrisart.com and on Instagram at mariamorrisart.
Awesome. Consistent. I love it. So Maria, bless you, and all the best to you as you continue walking in everything that God's got for you.
Thank you so much that you let the Lord use you in a bold, bold way to rise up artists to thrive. And my business and the people who now are my mentees are fruit of your faith.
Well, thank you for that. It's great to connect with you again, my friend. Thank you so much.